All right, so for this lesson, we're going to create the test scores class. So, like always, go through this. What are we trying to do? So, design a test score class that has fields to hold 3 test scores. The class should have a method that sets the average of the 3 test scores. The class should have a second method that sets the letter grade for the test score average. Finally, create a method that returns the average score and a method that returns the letter grade. Use the following grading scheme. Okay, so we want to display the test score average and letter grade based on 3 tests. Okay, that is our purpose of what we're trying to do here. So let's start going through nouns. So test scores class, test scores, that's our class name. It's up here. Okay, design a test score class that has fields. So fields are a noun. Fields, we're not going to use that, but we'll write them down to hold 3 test scores. So 3 test scores, I would say test score 1, test score 2, and test score 3, because those are the 3 separate test scores. Variables so far, we've got the word design, we got the word hold, so we've got to have set average, because that's what it's doing, it's setting the average. Class should have a second method that sets the letter grade. So set letter grade. So we're going to have a letter grade here. Finally, create a method that returns the average score and a method that returns the average. So get average and get a letter grade. It returns the average score and a method that returns the letter grade. Use the following grading scheme in the following table. All right, so we're not going to use, we're going to have an average grade too, so we'll have average. But we won't use this. You can delete that. And we won't have hold. And we won't have design, because you always design a class. But there you go. So that paragraph has been whittled down to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 variables. Alright, so I'm actually going to do this third box on a separate page all the way down here. There are the answers for you. I'm going to do this third box. I actually know what I can do. I can do the what's it called, the UML model right here. But I'll do the decision structure on a separate sheet of paper, or on a separate page by itself. So let me open up the sketch screen. So we've got our test scores UML model. Okay, we have a double. All these are going to be double, right? Double test score 1, double test score 2, double test score 3, double average. You can call it average or average score. It doesn't really matter. I'll just say average. And then we'll have, we want to return a letter grade. That can either be a string or a char. I don't really care. I guess just let's say keep it a char. Let's do this. No, let's make it a string. String. Okay. So those are variables. So we need to public void set average. And this is where we would pass in our 3 different test scores. Set letter grade. Public double get average and public string get letter grade. Oh, sorry, that's bad handwriting. Cool. So that's that, and I gotta move down to the next page to do this one because this one's kind of long. So do this. So if I go down here, I got almost a whole page to work with. All right, so let me do this. So, you know, you got your, that's your if else. So if, you know, grade, this would be if you're, sorry, not grade, if average is greater than or equal to 90 and grade is what? Less than or equal to 100. If this is true, then your letter grade equals A. If it's false, come down here and say if average is greater than or equal to 80 and average less than or equal to 9, or less than or equal to 89. This is true. Then your letter grade equals a B. It's false. It's a C. And as you can see, I'm running out of paper, so I'm going to do this. I'll have this over here as my new one when I start this. Okay, so let me close this, start it up again. So this would be this would be like the false. Okay, now I'd come down here, and then I would say, you know, if average is Greater equals 60, and this is true. And my letter grade is equal to D. And last one, if it's false, grades can only be A, B, C, or D, so this would just be letter grade equals F. Okay, so that's pretty easy, right? It just kind of takes up some space, and it's easier to write with pencil than this electronic pen I'm using. All right, so let's get coding now. All right, so we're gonna call this file, new project. Call it main test scores, finish. Say new test scores. Alright, so got ourselves, we need to import the java.util.scanner. So what's that? All right, this isn't asking for a constructor, so we can either create our object now or after our variables. It really doesn't matter. I'll just create our variables and populate them. So please enter the test score 1. Okay. And I should have just copied and pasted, but oh well. Okay. So now we need a now that we got our test scores entered, we gotta set the average. So, but we also have to create our object. So let's do that. So test score my test score equals new. So now we have our object. We can do my test score dot set average. We can pass in test score 1, test score 2, and test score 3. You set the letter grade. Okay, now there's going to be errors on all this stuff because none of it exists yet. And this should be test scores. Sorry about that. Make that just to stay. Then we can just do system.out.println. What would I say? Average grade plus my test scores dot get average, and system.out.println dot get letter grade. Whoops. All right. Wow, that's weird. I don't know where that came from. Get letter grade. All right, cool. So let's create all these in here. So we need to set the average. So public void set average. Okay, and to get our average of any number, we got 3 numbers. So double test score 1, double test score 2, and double test score 3. So my test score 1 equals test score 1. My test score 2 equals test score 2. And my test score 3 equals test score 3. There's errors on all those my's because they need to be defined. Alright, so those are all, so now we just need to set the average. So we'll say average, we can say average equals my test score 1 plus my test score 2 divided by 3.0. Okay. Then we got public void set letter grade. So this is where we're going to do our decision-making structure. So if average is greater than or equal to 90 and average is less than or equal to 100, we'll say letter grade equals A. And I'll define that up here real quick. String letter grade else if average is greater than or equal to 80 and average is less than or equal to 89, okay, average is greater than or equal to 70 and average is less than or equal to what, 79. Letter grade equals C. Else if average is greater than or equal to 60 and average is less than or equal to 69, letter grade equals D. Else, that's the last one. Okay, so that's our letter grade. Now we just need to get all the information. So public, well, it's not void, it's going to be double because we're returning our get average. So return the average. And public string get letter grade. Return letter grade. Okay, looks good. Let's run this real quick. So 4-1, I don't know, 75, 90, and I don't know, 100. 88.33, it's a B. Let's try another one. 50, 60, just easy number, 70. The average should be 60. Yep. Works, looks good. Go ahead, test that, play with that, but should be good.